Alright, so now we are in the 1850s. Now, in the 1850s, things just get nuts. In our 1850s, we have a lot of things that happen all at once. The first thing we need to hit on is the Kansas and Nebraska Act. Which was in 1854. So, this is something I said earlier in the year, and I know it's probably hard to remember, / you guys were mostly online, so you didn't pay too much attention to begin with. That's fine, whatever, we cannot do anything about that. Let me go back. We had the Compromise of 1820, the Missouri Compromise. It lasted for 30 years, it was solid, it did a good job. Then in 1850, things changed, and we needed to make a new one. We had the Compromise of 1850, and everything was okay for just 4 years. Then we needed the Kansas and Nebraska Act to change things up. So, we had Stephen Douglas popping back up. He was from Illinois, right? Chicago, Illinois. Kind of in the middle of the country, definitely a northern state, definitely a free state. Very industrialized. And he, early on in the 1850s, wanted a transcontinental railroad to go through Chicago. In order to do that, remember, transcontinental goes across the country from, east to west. In order to do that, he needed some territories to gain statehood. One of which, the Kansas territory, combined Kansas and Nebraska. So my guy came along and said, hey, we're going to split those up. The Kansas territory splits into Kansas and Nebraska. And as always, whenever Stephen Douglas is talking politics, he brings up his baby, his go-to thing. One of my seniors, that joke won't make sense. You guys are juniors, never mind. Think of Stephen Douglas with this idea would be like our girl Alex in 4th period when it comes to Taylor Swift. She just brings her up all the time and loves her so much, even though she could be a bit divisive, just like this idea. Stephen Douglas. Says Kansas and Nebraska. Will vote with popular sovereignty. And the idea is Nebraska, further to the north, is going to vote to be a free state. Kansas, which is bordering Texas pretty much, is going to be a slave state. We're going to keep that balance. Everything's going to be fine until both states vote to become free. What's that going to lead to? Sectional tension. We also have the collapse of the Wig Party. This was a perfect storm of division over the idea of popular sovereignty, the division of should slavery expand everywhere versus should we ban slavery in new territories, should we keep slavery where it is, should we abolish slavery altogether. The Whigs had no idea what they wanted to do, and their leader, their king, our boy Henry Clay dies. and then they had bad presidents. It all leads to the collapse of the Whig Party, which, I mean, the party fell apart. All we have left are the Democrats until the Republicans come along. And our early proto-Republicans that's not how you spell, Josh. Were pretty interesting themselves. In 1856, they ran a Mexican-American war general who straight up said, "Free states, free press, free soil, and Fremont." That was his slogan on a mug that I just got from one of my seniors for Teacher Appreciation Week. Hint, hint. Fremont straight up wanted to stop expansion of slavery. That's what the Republicans wanted to do. No new slave states. No new. Obviously, that is going to lead to sectional tension. Now they lose, the Democrats win, they end up voting in a Northern Democrat who does a whole lot of nothing, a guy by the name of James Buchanan, who really just lets the country fall apart. Not great, but the Republicans talking about stopping slavery from expanding in general, that's going to lead to tension. Now, while all of this is going on, Kansas and Nebraska, while voting to be free states, ends up leading to something called Bleeding Kansas. I'll put it over here with Kansas. We'll do it here. Now, Bleeding Kansas, as you remember, was a microcosm, just a mini version of the Civil War. We had Northerners who wanted Kansas to be a free state fighting against border ruffians, people from Missouri, coming over to make Kansas a slave state. Right? So, pro-slavery, border ruffians. I only say that because the British love using that term. You may see it on Wednesday. They are going up against anti-slavery Northerners in the area. And my guy John Brown. They're straight up killing each other. They're chopping them up into pieces with machetes. It is a very tough look when we're talking about peace. So the Kansas and Nebraska Act, which was supposed to, create peace, ends up leading to actual war and violence. Not great. John Brown, we'll write him here. Ends up storming a fort called Harper's Ferry. Now, this was a failed slavery uprising. Led by John Brown and 10 of his sons, which just seems like a lot. This extremely divided the North and the South. He was a hero in the North. And a villain in the South. Very divisive dude. very divided opinions about them. And this, of course, you guessed it, led to more sectional tension. What else am I missing from here? Oh! So the Republicans were made up of the Whigs, the Free Soil Party, which straight up wanted to end slavery. That was their idea. And some Northern Democrats. They all came together, they made the Republican Party, Northern Whigs, some Northern Democrats, and the Free Soil Party, which specifically wanted to end slavery. They all came together to make the Republican Party, and they got this label, this idea that they were a anti-slavery party. If they're anti-slavery, they're probably going to be anti-South, and that would lead to, you guessed it, more sectional tension. It's all feeding into each other. Right? All of this is leading to a big-time contention. A couple years ago, there was a DBQ specifically about Charles Sumner, the guy we talked about. We read his speech. We talked about how he ends up giving this speech about Southerners only like slavery because not only are they making money off of it, but they really just enjoy controlling and owning people. He talks about some really mean stuff. He questions the honor of these Southern gentlemen, guys like Preston Brooks and stuff. Anyway, he ends up getting beaten nearly to death in the Senate chambers. The caning of Charles Sumner was a thing that we talked about, read about in class. If senators are trying to kill each other while in session, just imagine how that feeds into this sectional tension. All right? The war is about to unfold. It's right on the cusp of, people are killing each other in bleeding Kansas. So the war is happening. All of this is leading to the craziest election, the biggest point of contention in our country's history, 1860, which will be coming up next.